a lot of you will already be aware of, very basic travel security procedures, and things to do and not to do, and things like COVID restrictions. I thought we're all aware of. So I thought this might be a more interesting way to look at it. So the kind of geopolitical tensions that I've just been talking about, as those kind of tensions rise, there is an elevated risk of politically motivated arrests of foreigners. Putin has sort of consistently sought to emphasize the desire of Western states to subvert the Russian regime, as part of efforts to kind of solidify his popular appeal. Arrests and convictions of foreign nationals on espionage charges have been used in the past as proof of such efforts to undermine Moscow. And foreign individuals have also been detained in response to specific diplomatic rows. So you may be aware of the arrest of US citizen and corporate security manager Paul Whelan in Moscow in December 2018. This was most likely in response to Washington's arrest of a Russian citizen, Maria Butina, days earlier. The Kremlin probably sort of hoped to use Whelan's detention to secure the release of its own citizens abroad, including Butina. And Whelan's arrest also came amid a time of very heightened international tensions. This was just after the Sergei Skripal poisoning, and when the UK imposed sanctions against Russia for that. It's very plausible, that Whelan's arrest was also a retaliation to this, particularly given that he held joint UK and US citizenship. And at the same time, pervasive corruption and the weak rule of law has helped create in Russia what we might call a permissive environment for Russian corporations with the complicity of law enforcement to use the threat of criminal charges to target business rivals. So again, you may be familiar of the arrest of the US private equity firm owner, Michael Calvi, on embezzlement charges in February 2019. This was credibly intended to pressure Calvi amid a legal dispute with a Kremlin-linked figure over controlling shares in Vostochny Bank. Calvi's arrest is kind of the most high-profile instance of the arrest of a foreign national over a business dispute. But such further arrests are possible amid these heightened US-Russia tensions. But I would caveat that by saying the Kremlin is not going to allow widespread targeting of US nationals or hostile seizure of US firms' assets. Given the effect that this would have on the investor climate, won't seem to take it that far. And finally, anti-government protests, as I've mentioned, have become increasingly common, particularly in Moscow and other major cities. These often face a significant crackdown by security forces. Moscow has on occasion sought to portray anti-government unrest as kind of orchestrated by Western states, including the US, in an effort to undermine the credibility of those protests. As a result, any foreign individuals who are detained at such demonstrations may sort of face allegations of involvement in state-sponsored espionage. So, the advice would be, as a foreign national, stay away from any demonstrations. Certainly don't film them. Just keep as far away as possible. And finally, there's a small risk of detention and harassment to foreign persons over their activity on social media. Recent changes to Russia's foreign agents law means that authorities can now label individuals, both foreign and domestic, as foreign agents if they are found to have disseminated foreign media to an undisclosed amount of Russian citizens, including online. So that law previously only applied to NGOs and organizations which received overseas funding. So that obviously is a worrying development, but I think that this law is primarily going to be applied to domestic citizens and foreign journalists based in Russia, rather than necessarily those visiting Russia for commercial reasons. Essentially, this all just underscores really the importance of Western countries having very clear messaging and a means to apply costs to Russia. I think all this demonstrates, if we don't do that, think about what can happen to you as investors or business people.